Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the 2024 Subaru Solterra. It's finished off in gray with an MSRP just over $53,000. Now this is a full EV. It's powered by a 72.8 kilowatt lithium ion battery pack along with two electric motors. It's paired to a single speed transmission, pumping out 215 horsepower, 249 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the all-wheel drive system, propelling this 4,400-pound SUV from 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. It has a top speed of 110 miles an hour. It also has a total range of 227 miles, and its wheelbase is 112.2 inches. Its overall length is 184.6. It has a width of 73.2, a height of 65.2, and its ground clearance measures in at 8.3 inches. As we move our way to the exterior styling now for this Subaru Solterra, let's start off with the non-existent grille up front. You'll see the Subaru badge along with body colored for the entire what would be a normal grille. There's parking sensors in it, as well as a forward-facing camera in the gloss black section, so it gives the illusion of a grille with having that solid piece. All of the cutouts are in the lower section to provide cooling for any of the components that are up front. There's also active grille shutters that are located just behind there as well. Now this does have LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. There's fog lights down in the lower section, and then large cutouts on both sides to provide a little bit more aerodynamics. And then there's some pretty subtle lines that come down the hood as well. And then as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 20-inch wheels with a very nice multi-spoke design to them. This does feature regenerative braking too. And you will notice that the fender flares for both the front and the rear are finished off in plastic. It's a very large piece that goes into the headlight housings up front as well. The EV badge is just behind that. And then there's gloss black for the side mirrors with a camera and a turn signal. And this does have a full moonroof up top with some more gloss black accents. It surrounds all the window trim. There's more plastic in the lower side skirt as well as that rear fender flare, but some very nice lines that go down the side. And you'll notice too, it has a steeply raked rear glass to it, along with a very interesting gloss black spoiler with these large fins on both sides. Two are right in the middle there, but you can see just how steep that is. There is no wiper blade, so that gives it a clean look. Third brake light is also right at the top there. But this has more gloss black for the spoiler in the back, and then a really interesting set of LED taillights. You'll notice they go into the power liftgate slightly, but they also go all the way down towards the fender arches. Now this does have a backup camera along with all of the sensors, and then some more plastic for that lower diffuser. There's even some fins located in the lower section too. Now you can use the key fob or the button up underneath to open up this power liftgate, where you do get a good amount of space. You'll notice that this also has the Harman Kardon audio, so the sub is located in the back, and it does have the cover, so you can use that as needed. There's some hooks too, and then plenty of space for any items. Now, you do have some storage underneath the floor, so you can put some items there if you need to, and you can also fold down the back seat. So if you need a little bit more space, that makes it a lot more practical. Up top, you can close the vehicle. One of the controls will also lock it as well. And you can also lock and unlock it with the back door handles too. Now for the interior, you'll notice the white or off-white leather for the back of the door panel, along with some piano black. A little bit of storage is in the lower section. And then this also has two-tone for the seats. Complements this exterior color very nicely. And at 5'10", I have a good bit of space. There's storage pockets behind both front seats. These are even heated seats too, so there's those adjustments with auxiliaries and some climate vents. And then I have about an inch or so above my head, so it's actually pretty spacious in the back. Now right in the middle, there's also the armrest along with two cup holders and a little bit of storage if you need to use that. And while that's a pretty bulky pillar, you have that small window there, you have the rear window, of course, and then from the driver's seat, you have your side mirrors. So it's really not all that hard to see around. It still provides a lot of light for this interior. Now up front, very similar to the rear. However, there's the power folding side mirror adjustments, memory seating controls, more storage space in the lower section. And then we have the automatic front seats with that similar design to them. Now this is a low SUV, so it's easy to enter and exit. And then now you'll notice that we have a very unique steering wheel. It has a flat top and bottom design to it. Pretty small steering wheel for this vehicle. But on this left side, You have these controls to go over the gauge cluster as well as volume and voice commands. On the right side, there's your lane keeping assist, along with your cruise control, a distance pacing, you have tuning, and a mode button. But let's start this up with that power button. And then you will notice that for the gauge cluster, it's actually a little bit higher up than in a traditional vehicle. So we have some trim accents on both sides. And then looking at the gauge cluster now, with those controls on the left side of the steering wheel, you can actually go through a good bit of information. So when I scroll over to the left, you'll notice on the entire left, we can look at your total average. You even have your adaptive cruise, so you can go through those settings. You can pull up your music, look at the all-wheel drive system, along with tire pressure and your trip information. There's a lot of standard safety features that you can also scroll through and monitor as needed. And then the last one is for any messages. Now you can also hide all of that away and then move miles per hour and your power meter front and center, along with some other icons that will appear. So just depending on what you would like to see, you have all of that. There's also a sensor here to make sure that you are paying attention. Now on this left side, there's the automatic headlights along with the liftgate release. Really neat trim accent surrounding the one air vent. There's actually a little bit of storage possibly on the back side of the infotainment system. This is a very large dashboard, so you could probably put some items there if you need to. But looking at the infotainment system, on this left side, there's all of your shortcuts. So you can get into the navigation and pull that map up. You can also get into your music when you have your phone paired, along with pairing your phone. And then there's some vehicle information that you can look at along with the general settings. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the style of the screen, this is actually taken straight from Toyota. So this is the same exact infotainment system that they utilize in their vehicles. Right in the middle, there's volume and power for the audio. And then we also have another integrated screen underneath. This has heated and ventilated seats, a heated steering wheel. Temperature adjustments are right in the middle, along with fan speed, so you can go through that, along with where you'd like the air to go. And there's also some defrosters and your sync controls that you can use as well. And then there's two air vents underneath that. And then we have a lot more controls. There's the e-brake, along with your auto hold. Pushing on this button right here is for your one pedal driving. So that way you can use the regenerative braking a lot better, and you don't have to necessarily use the brake pedal since you just have to use the accelerator. Now on this right side, there's traction control along with parallel parking. The view button is for the camera system. So when you push on that, this is the diagram that will appear just to give you a second set of eyes as to anything that is around the vehicle. And then there's also a few different drive modes. So when you push on that, you can go through eco, there's power, and then you're back to a normal setting. And this even has an X mode. So when you do X mode, that shows snow and dirt. You have deep snow and mud, and then you can go back into your normal setting. I believe that the control right in the middle here, plus and minus, is for your off-road speed. So you can basically set cruise control for going in those off-roading situations and utilizing the power for this all-wheel drive system. Now, looking at the gear selector, you have this rotary dial right here, and you'll notice push down for left or right. So if I push down, I can turn it to the left for reverse. You'll see the backup camera with that top-down view. I can push it down, turn it right for drive, and then push on the P for park. Now behind that, there's actually this cover that is a little bit transparent. It's going to be hard to see, but hopefully you can tell as I open that up. This is where the wireless charging pad is, so you can actually see your phone through the cutouts for that, which is pretty interesting to see. I'm not sure if this lights up when your phone is completely charged or not, but it's a very interesting pattern. And then underneath that, there's a lot more storage space along with some auxiliaries on both sides. There's two cup holders in the middle. You can also slide this armrest forwards and backwards, and there's plenty of storage. There's actually no glove box for this model though, so you get all of that storage space up underneath. And then up top, there's garage door buttons, as well as the camera system. So you can flip up that rear view to get that additional visibility. And then up top, there's the dome lights, as well as the controls for that sunshade. Now there is a divider right here, but the sunshade is one piece. So it actually just goes straight up over this piece here. So I'm not sure what the design elements are for that cross piece there. But as far as visibility goes, it's pretty easy to see over both sides. You have a lot of glass that you can look out of. As we set off now behind the wheel for the Subaru Solterra, one thing that I also wanted to touch base on is the fact that this does have paddle shifters. These paddle shifters will actually help in the level of regenerative braking that you want. So if I push all the way up on the positive paddle, let my foot off the accelerator, the vehicle is just going to cruise like it would in a normal vehicle when you let your foot off the gas pedal. However, if I go all the way down on the negative paddle, we are starting to slow down without even touching the brake pedal. So you have that regenerative braking that you can use with that one pedal driving. You can also adjust how you want it to react with those paddle shifters. And the steering wheel has also been something interesting to point out. It's a very unique design, one that's different from any car that I've driven. A little bit on the small side, but it's interesting that it has the flat top and bottom design to it. It just takes a little bit getting used to when a lot of vehicles have that rounded off top. So if you like driving like this, just a little bit different of something to get used to. But aside from that, this has been a nice vehicle to drive for the last few days. The one thing that I will kind of knock it on is its total range of 227 miles. Now, what I have found from driving EVs over the last few years, they make really great city vehicles. So if you're not going long distances every day, you're going to work and back, it's not something that's longer than 227 miles. You can ride around town fine, come home, charge the vehicle. It'll be fully charged overnight. So that way when you go to work the next day or wherever you're going, you have a full charge. You don't have to worry about it, or you go a couple days without charging it and you'll be fine. So with the low range that this does have, it does make it a little bit less convenient to take on longer trips. Unless you plan them accordingly, you're still going to be stopping to charge frequently versus some other EVs out there that do have a higher range. Some have even broken the 300-mile range. But let's put it into the power mode now. We'll give it a little bit of juice from about 30 miles an hour. Here we go, pedal to the floor. Not bad. It definitely gets up and scoots. EVs have all that torque instantly. So the moment I put my right foot on the accelerator, we already have all that torque ready to go. So even at some higher speeds, it's still got the juice to get up and move. So it's not slow for its weight. I'd say it's pretty adequate for being able to merge and things like that. And then we have the eco mode and just a normal setting. A little bit hard to tell the difference between power and the normal setting. I think you can feel a little bit more with that throttle. But this is nice. It's a good size on the interior. You have plenty of space to make it practical, and you have a lot of glass to easily see around. We even have the additional windows here, so you can see in front of both side mirrors, which is very nice. And in the power mode again, here we go. And we're up to speed. Very, very quiet, as you would expect from a vehicle like this. But now that we are behind the wheel, this is what it looks like from the driver's seat. I will say it's a bit interesting with the steering wheel design and where the gauge cluster is located. Very untraditional compared to other vehicles where the gauge cluster is about here and you can see it through the steering wheel. So if you have this in the wrong place, and maybe that's the design element, they wanted to cut this down so you could actually see over to the gauge cluster. So if you have the steering wheel in the wrong spot, it will block your entire view of that gauge cluster. So I think that's probably why they have that design. I can clearly see everything right now. But with this interior, I think it's a really nice layout. It is interesting to see we have Toyota technology. Even the controls on the steering wheel are from Toyota. I do believe Toyota makes a full electric that is the exact same as this too. I can't remember the name of that, but you have two different options depending on which one that you would like. But it's a nice interior, it's a nice layout, it's very quiet, something that would be a great daily driver for the city. You can just hop in and scoot from point A to point B. But for its price, I'd say it's a little bit basic. You are spending money for the EV technology. That is still something that is kind of higher in prices right now. I'm sure at some point the EV technology will improve and hopefully become a little bit less expensive for what the vehicles are in today's market. But that's going to wrap it up for the 2024 Subaru Solterra. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.